former South Carolina attorney Khalif Murdaugh will appear in federal court this morning.
This is just days after he accepted a plea deal on federal charges in which prosecutors accuse him of stealing millions of dollars from former clients. He is expected to plead guilty on fraud and theft charges.
Earlier this year, Murdaugh was found guilty of killing his wife and son. Murdaugh was found guilty again back in June of 2021. He's currently serving a life sentence.
And joining us now is our chief legal analyst, Khalif Rhodes, to break down today's hearing. So they're headed to federal court. And Murdaugh is expected to do something that he hasn't done up to this point.
He hasn't admitted guilt to anything, but obviously if I'm advising him, this is what you want to do for a couple of reasons. If you're trying to get through the process, because he has these state charges for the exact same thing, you want to get convicted on the federal charges. If you have to make a choice between going to state prison and going to federal prison, you want to go to federal prison. It's a lot more up-to-date facilities, a lot easier process. Most of the folks in the federal prison system will be college educated. You'll see doctors, lawyers, extremely high-level professional folks there. And so if you're choosing between the two, if you got to make a choice, you want to go ahead and hurry up and get the federal one done first so that you can be going to federal prison to do your sentence. But its overall charges itself are probably the most problematic portion. In law school, they tell you a couple things. If you want to avoid going to prison, you want to avoid losing your license, don't commingle funds. And so he's alleged to have commingled, funds on multiple occasions. Probably the most egregious one was taking his former housekeeper's money, making her family talk to another attorney, placing it into an account that looked like a trust account, and then, using those funds for personal gain. You talk about white-collar crimes and how there's really no victims. That was a sure victim right there. This person cleaned your home for a number of years, died, her family's expecting some type of payout. They never saw a penny, like $3.4 million, never saw any of it.
Pleading guilty to these financial charges, will that help or hurt his chances of trying to get this retrial with the murder charges after all the bombshell information that came out a couple weeks ago? Or do you have to legally keep these as separate as possible?
Legally keep them separate, but it also is part of the effort to get him to federal prison. If you get this new case, the other conviction is thrown out. It's in essence that it didn't occur at all. And so now that frees him up to be taken from state prison and the state facilities and going to the federal system. So if you get a new trial, it's like nothing happened all those months, him sitting in, it's like a whole new redo.
Part of this plea deal, the defendant agrees to be fully truthful on all levels. What could that potentially open up for prosecutors at the local level, the state level?
Anytime that you take a plea in front of a judge, they want to know a couple things. Are you impaired right now? Can you understand me? Do you understand what I'm saying? And they'll ask you a couple of times, are you guilty? Are you in fact guilty? They say it like 5 or 6 times. I often go over these plea transcripts with my clients, and they're like, well, I just told you yes to that. I'm like, well, the judge is going to ask you like 11 million times to make sure there's no question that you clearly understood that you were guilty of this charge. And so going forward, specifically because this is financially related, there won't be any bearing on any other case except for the state case. If he makes any, different claims, the state may say, well, we may not allow you to do a plea deal like the federal system has allowed. But in terms of strategy, this is good lawyering by his attorneys to ensure that he gets to a better process for sure.